Good afternoon, everybody. I haven't done one of these in a long, long time. Just doing a Christmas Eve small live chat. Hope you're all having a fantastic day and you're all getting ready for Christmas. I know I am. I hope you all are going to have lots of fun tomorrow, see relatives, and have a great time. Christmas came really quick this year. And, it's the one time of the year I think that everybody enjoys because it's a peaceful tone on the holiday. I mean, all holidays are really peaceful, but I'm going to go ahead and share this in my community tab for a minute. Just bear with me. Okay, go to my channel. I haven't even done these kinds of chats, and oh god, it's been almost a year since my last StreamYard chat. Go to my channel. I'm going to put in my community tab, and bear with me here. If you guys have time, just drop a like on this video. Sorry about that. So, yeah, let me get this. My internet's been kind of slow today, and I'm actually in the city. Go figure. All right, so I'm going to share this on Twitter, and then I'll be right with you guys. All right. Okay. How's it going, Alfredo Flores? How you been? Collision yesterday was great. Cesaro versus Danielson banger match was a draw. Yeah, I meant to see that yesterday. I'm actually not home at the moment. I'm going to be gone in the city for well over a week, and I didn't get the chance to watch that. And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to touch base on something that I've been hearing about for a lot of recent weeks since CM Punk went back to WWE. You notice how like a lot of people are saying that AEW is instantly finished now that CM Punk is in WWE. Like these people clearly do not remember that before CM Punk went to AEW, they were beating WWE constantly, and on NXT they were beating NXT, and AEW had not even signed CM Punk yet, and they were beating WWE. So I really don't understand how people on the internet have the notion where they're saying that AEW is doomed when they're just basically going to continue making they're going to be continue making matches, and they're going to do fine without CM Punk. I mean, I've said before and I'll say it again. They did great before CM Punk thought about coming back to wrestling. They were beating WWE, and they've really held their own against WWE to where I don't think the accurate statement is correct that they're going to be instantly doomed now that CM Punk is in WWE. I don't believe that crap. You know, got two people in the room, and and if people don't come pouring in here, I understand. Like, everyone's getting ready for Christmas, and they just want to do their own thing and get ready for the holiday. So, yep, that's what I'm saying. However, Tony Khan needs to step away from the social media a lot. It's going to be a huge draw next year. Will Ospreay. Well, I understand that, but I mean, like, that's also another thing that could work against Tony Khan because he's got people actively following him, and not being on social media a lot could backfire and send the wrong message that he doesn't actually care about getting AEW out there, because that's part of the reason AEW is getting promoted the way it is, because Tony Khan is actively on Twitter. And, I do get the idea that what you're saying, that he needs to limit his time on there. But I mean, I do think, however, that could work against him, but you never know. I mean, it could go either way. I don't think Tony Khan really is the same type of guy that a Vince McMahon is or anybody else that's actively on social media. Tony Khan, as far as it goes, I think he handled the situation with CM Punk professionally. I mean, everybody's kind of like wondering why he's not really saying much. Because I know on the day that Punk came back to WWE, like, Tony Khan's Twitter was blowing up and people were nagging him and heckling him and CM Punk went back to WWE. You guys are screwed, and just all that stuff. And, he didn't engage in any heated words or anything like that. He just went about his business. The company's moving forward. And, I think that's the way to handle it. But again, I don't believe the narrative that AEW is doing without CM Punk. I really believe that's just a bunch of CM Punk deluded fanboys that are making this up. And AEW will do just fine. Impact Wrestling is doing fine. Wrestling will go on no matter what. His surprising announcements every week is no longer special, and AEW women's division is booked horrendous. As far as still blame TK for not giving us Punk versus Omega. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of get where you're coming from on that. I think there's some truth to it. But you got to remember, though, that you look at WWE's women's division, like the women's division for them is really creatively a mess because 9 times out of 10, WWE's women's division is based around Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair over and over and over again. And I have said repeatedly for years, they got to get behind pushing Shayna Baszler back to being the number one threat again. Like Baszler, as it stands, technically speaking, is not a babyface or a heel. She's a tweener. But at the same time, I feel like it was a missed opportunity after she beat Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. They didn't capitalize on that right away, and they were just like not willing to push her for a title run. And that really was where they fumbled. And ever since then, Baszler's been kind of lost. And you look at her 4 years ago or 5 years ago in NXT, like she was just this unstoppable force. And now they don't know what to do with her. And they keep putting her with tag team partners. And it's like you're building up a person as a killer who is a jiu-jitsu black belt badass, this woman who is strong, fast, can wrestle on the mat, can cut savage promos, and you're making her lose matches constantly, or you're putting her with tag team partners. That just doesn't work. That's been my biggest criticism. If you check out my WWE rant video, I alluded to something like this, and I even did a video recently where I talked about how they've been holding Shayna Baszler back. You know what I mean? I really think that it's really a shame that she's been shafted. I mean, if anybody deserves a championship run, it's her. And also because she is the toughest woman in wrestling right now. That woman, I would never mess with her. But yeah, I mean, these companies with their lack of creative thinking, they don't think clearly. They do a bunch of stupid stuff. They push the same typical people at the top, and they don't give people the more deserving talents because it's all about agenda at the end of the day, no matter if it's WWE or AEW or anywhere else. You know what I mean? Hey, Merry Christmas to you too. Or Merry Christmas Eve, I should say. But, wrestling, the lack of creativity in the company is really becoming a problem no matter what it is. I mean, the WrestleMania main event picture right now as it stands is looking like CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that when Punk faces Seth Rollins, Punk is going to get screwed out of the match because of Roman Reigns, who he called out on SmackDown. And that's going to start up a feud to where CM Punk is going to be facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And then from there, during the match, Paul Heyman will turn on Roman Reigns and realign with CM Punk. And then from there, CM Punk would become the number one heel in the company. And then the bloodline would walk out on Roman Reigns. And then Punk and Paul Heyman would start their alliance again. And then basically down the road, we're going to see CM Punk form an alliance with the Judgment Day. And we're going to learn that Punk has really been the leader all along. And we're going to have like another heel faction, like similar to the way when he took over Nexus and the Straight Edge Society. You ever seen The Good Son? A long time ago, I did. Actually, it was a pretty good movie, and it showcased Macaulay Culkin as this evil person. I thought he nailed it. Macaulay Culkin could really play a dark character and a persona to where we were so used to seeing him in the Home Alone movies, and he was always this, type of good hero in a sense. And then he becomes a villain, and he just nailed it. I mean, he was perfect in the role. His character's death at the end was very brutal. Nation isn't only when she was good in stardom, but WWE missed out on her for Nia Jax. Don't get me started on Nia Jax being back. I swear, if there's ever a woman that needs to get taken out of WWE and put in the retirement, it's Nia Jax. And I'm not knocking her for who she is, but I'm knocking her for like all the talents that she has injured. Like, she's proven to be one of the most dangerous women in wrestling to work with. She's injured so many people to the point where there were reports coming out, I think like a year or two ago, that a lot of people were kind of uneasy about wrestling her because she was just very unsafe. She's injured a lot of people. And I just think that it's a really bad move to bring her back, considering she also left WWE. And I think she left WWE because she didn't want to take the vaccine, which is fine. She doesn't have to. But I mean, I'm just saying that business wise, bringing Nia Jax back was not a smart move. I don't hate the woman. I just don't really, I don't see how they could bring her back, knowing that she's dangerous in the ring to work with. She botches moves. She's not safe with her opponents. I can recall many matches where it looked like the people that she was facing that she was trying to hurt, like she would throw them over the ring. She would literally like run full force into them. And you could tell that they were not just selling the moves. She was literally injuring her opponents. I mean, she had heat with Charlotte Flair. She had heat with God knows who else. And there were so many talents that got hurt. Like, you look at all the people that she put, on the injured reserve list. I think she injured Dana Brooke. She injured a bunch of other people. I don't even remember, but it's a pretty big list. And I thought about getting back into these streams again, but I don't know. It's just finding the time when I'm not busy. I know a lot of people are really doing this stuff every day, and I commend them for it, because to do this stuff every day, it takes a relentless effort. I'm not actively on this like website that much. I'm only putting up a couple videos a week, and that's it. I'm not one of these full-time YouTubers. It's going to bury Nia Jax in 2 weeks to face Rhea at the Rumble. Liv Morgan is the one to win the Women's Royal Rumble and dethrone Ripley at WrestleMania 40. I thought about that too, but coming off of Liv Morgan being arrested, I mean, I don't think they're going to be pushing her for anytime soon, because it all depends on the situation and where it goes. WWE is known for punishing people that have the smallest discrepancy in their personal life, and they never push them again. But I think that if I had to pick a theory, and it's not going to happen, obviously, what I would have done is I would have Baszler win the Royal Rumble, and I would have her choose to face Rhea Ripley. She wins the championship and then keeps it to SummerSlam, and she loses the belt because the returning Ronda Rousey will screw her out of the belt, and it'll continue Ronda versus Shayna later in the year in 2024. I mean, that's the way I would do it. But you never know. I mean, Becky Lynch getting a title run again, like, it's not, I'm not against Becky Lynch as a person, but we've seen Becky Lynch holding a championship more times than I could ever remember. It's almost as bad as Charlotte Flair getting a championship all the time. There's really nothing new with her getting another title win. You know what I mean? I have not really been seeing MJF as a face that much. I've been trying to get back into watching AEW again. I don't really have a lot of invested time into watching wrestling the way I once did, but I'm trying to get more active again in it. Or Bayley wins the Rumble and then challenges Ripley at WrestleMania 40. That would be another great match. I mean, I like Bayley. I think Bayley's one of the best workers in the business. Let's see. Will Kenny Omega ever get his hands on Don Callis and take him out with a one-winged angel? I think he will. And, aside from all that, like, I really do like see wrestling really as a tough thing to watch now, because I just don't have the time to watch it. But when I watch it, it's the same repetitive thing over and over again. Rematches, too many champions. Like, I've seen so many champions in that company, but there's really no divisions whatsoever. Where back then, 10, 20 years ago, we had divisions and we didn't have so many championships. But their logic is everybody must be a champion at some point, and too many titles and no divisions, it just doesn't work for me. It's as bad as the rematch curse when we get to see Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns another time. And I'm going to go ahead and send this video to a few people. And let's see. I wish my computer was not having the problem it did. Let's see here. Okay, that's just... All right. So we got 2 people in. Walter is the longest reigning IC title. Broke Honky Tonk Man's record. Who's the man to dethrone Walter? Cena, Dragunov, Braun Breaker, and Solo Sikoa. It's hard to say. I mean, if any one of those names could really be good, but I'd rather Cena not actually come back and win a championship because, again, the guy's got commitments to acting, and number 2, another championship run. It'd be hard to do because the guy's not actively in WWE anymore, and he's getting up there in age. And I think that Cena winning a championship would be a huge screw you to the locker room because their whole logic when Vince McMahon was head of creative, the one thing that he did wrong, he always looks to the past rather than the present for talents to be full-timers, to be main eventers. He's always looking to the past. He brought back Goldberg. He brought back Edge. He brought back John Cena. And, you know, all these guys were great once in their heyday, but due to injuries and age, like they're never going to be what they used to be. But he kept wanting to reach to the past. And that caused everybody to get kind of frustrated. And they're like, well, why don't you push people in your locker room? And, you know, now I'm not saying these guys are not in great shape, but I'm saying that these guys are not going to be what they used to be. So, have you seen the original Dawn of the Dead? I've seen both of those movies. I prefer the 78 film more because it relies on not being, you know, the typical slasher, gory movie. It's really a movie that's more story-based. And I like the idea of the concept earlier on when they were in the mall. And, you know, it didn't have to be like a movie that was about gore and violence. They managed to make it work through a variety of things. You know, they had their moments where there was a bit of comedy. There was, you know, some suspenseful moments. There was just things that made that movie a great movie. The 2004 movie I felt was built more off of gore and violence. And, you know, that's great. You can have that in those movies, but there's got to be more to it than that. Cena finally became Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania 40, drops it to the newcomer like Carmella, Hayes, Breaker, or Dragunov. You know, that's a possibility. Again, like John Cena being gone, if anything, has made WWE a lot better because everybody I know, like, always used to say that now that Cena is gone, like, it's not as good as it used to be. But the Cena years, that times they were hard to take because he was constantly in the main events. He was constantly reportedly burying talents like he did with Alex Riley and Ken Doane and others. The tag team match where he faced off against the Nexus at SummerSlam, there was reports coming out that before that match even happened, Cena pulled Vince McMahon aside and said, we got to change the outcome of the match. And it was supposed to be Nexus getting the win, and they got screwed over that night. And, you know, Cena, it depends on where the reports come from, but, you know, the guy that they saw on TV and the guy he was in the locker room are 2 different things. And if you watch some of the shoot interviews about him on YouTube, you're going to hear some really alarming things. Night of the Living Dead, 1968, and the 1990 remake. I enjoyed both of those movies, but I kind of found it a bit weird at the end of the 1990 movie when Tony Todd's character, he locked himself in the basement and he killed one of the zombies in there, and he was human. And in the morning they find him, he was a zombie. And from what I remember, I mean, I could be wrong, I never saw a scene where he was bitten. And that's been one of the biggest mysteries at the end of that movie. I never saw his character get bitten and turn into a zombie. He was just a zombie, and they never fully explained what happened, because I know for a fact that people can't turn into zombies when zombies are killed and they haven't bitten their victim. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just one of those things that are a mystery. I don't know. challenge was, well, yes, it was enjoyable. And I like the concept of the younger talent getting a title run, but due to WWE's agenda, like not many of these talents were ever going to beat Cena. Like they push Cena as giving these people a chance, but John Cena, his own hypocrisy hits him when he used to bash The Rock by claiming The Rock did not care about WWE and he up and left. And, he was calling The Rock out for years and running him down and stuff like that. And then years later, what did Cena do? When Hollywood came knocking, Cena slowly began to fade out of WWE, and he's now doing what The Rock is doing, which is fine. But I think that Cena should publicly apologize for all his trash talk that he did. I mean, I know him and Dwayne Johnson have kind of developed a mutual respect, and they both were actually real life enemies at one point. So I don't, I just think that's really a bad message for Cena to really do that. And, years later, he goes and does what The Rock has been doing for years. And, let's see here. Gotta check my TikTok. We got two people in here. Opinion on Val Venus challenging The Rock to a debate and questioning him on his Saturday skits. When it comes to Val Venus, I know he's been in trouble quite a bit over the years for some of his rants that he's done and going off on people. The guy can say whatever he wants to, but I think he's coming off as a hateful person when he does it. I really think this guy's got some hate towards people in the wrestling business. And, I think that really is a shame. I mean, people say Bret Hart is bitter, but I mean, Val Venus, if you look at a lot of the shoots he's done in the past, he's really come at people really hard and really crazy. Do you think JBL becomes world champion had Brock Lesnar? No, I don't believe that at all. And I really don't have the kindest of things to say about John Bradshaw Layfield. That to me is the biggest piece of shit in wrestling history is JBL. And it's not because of his heel persona or his title run or being called the wrestling god. I never liked the guy to begin with when I heard all the bullying he did, and he caused people to get angry and want to be out of their jobs. He's done things to people. I mean, the crap he pulled on the Blue Meanie at ECW One Night Stand. I'm no fan of the Blue Meanie, but I mean, what happened that night, JBL assaulted the guy, and it was not even part of the script. And like, he almost cost Blue Meanie his career because Blue Meanie, he was all banged up and bloody at the end of the event. And you could see JBL, he walked up and started punching Blue Meanie when his back was turned. And I don't like the fact that JBL took advantage. When he was a bully, WWE announced their anti-bullying campaign, and they were sending superstars to schools to teach kids not to bully and be a star. And then JBL is secretly still allowed to be in the company and bully people. And it's like, you're going to take advantage of something like that to be a dick? Like, my God. I just always felt like the way he treated people, and because he was a heel at the time, that he just used that as an excuse to do the stuff that he did. I will never like the guy. I mean, I don't have a problem with his ring work, but I mean, like, just the stuff that I've seen and heard about that he's done. I think my favorite story is when I look online. If you check it out, look up the story of JBL having a fight with Steve Blackman and listen to Al Snow talk about what happened between those two. It's one of the best stories you'll ever hear. That's true. I got to admit that. I will admit that. And let's see here. Comments. Where's that? Huh. We got 3 people in. I mean, I don't have a problem with JBL's heel run. I don't even have a problem with like the success he had on Wall Street. I just think none of that means anything because of all the stuff that he did to people behind the scenes. And like he went after a lot of people. He went after timekeepers. He went after um Joey what was it? God, what was his name? He went after a lot of people. Like he had heat with the Hardys, he had heat with CM Punk, he had heat with John Morrison. The guy always had heat with somebody. In fact, there you go. That's what I meant to say. Thank you, Joey Styles. Like he tormented Joey Styles so much that Joey Styles knocked JBL right on his ass one day. And it's like the whole time WWE knows of this stuff and they didn't even do anything to JBL. Like it just really was insulting. I mean, the guy should have lost his job a long time ago. He should have been reprimanded, but they didn't want to do it. And it's like the guy got away with doing some fucked up crap. But I think that really like we're all basically reminded that just, hang on a second. 2003 Brock Lesnar would have smoked JBL had they crossed together. Um I think that's pretty accurate because Brock Lesnar is an NCAA champion, I think it was, a collegiate wrestler. But if JBL tried to face MMA Brock Lesnar, like that would end in seconds. Brock Lesnar would kill him. Brock Lesnar would beat the crap out of that guy so fast. I think one of the best things I remember about JBL is in the Brawl for All when he got to the finals and Bart Gunn went right through him in a matter of just a couple of minutes, which was one of the best moments ever. The long forgotten Brawl for All during WWE's Attitude Era. Do you remember that? So, got 3 people in the room. I don't really know how accurate the number is in here of the people that are in here because it constantly seems like when I open another window, he accidentally break JBL's neck like he did to Bob Holly. Yeah, but I think that Brock Lesnar with his MMA background, I think that he would do a lot more than break JBL's neck. I mean, JBL, the thing is, I noticed when he was in wrestling, like he never picked a fight with people that could beat his ass, with the exception of Steve Blackman. Like I never heard stories of JBL like trying to mess with Ken Shamrock or Mark Marrow or anyone that had like these boxing or MMA backgrounds because these people would literally they would end his career. He only went after like the young guys and people that couldn't defend themselves. And a lot of the people that he tormented, they couldn't say anything because they were fearful of losing their jobs. Like that's how bad it was. And a lot of these guys got tormented, they got screwed with. Hey, fan of YouTube, I don't have an account, but I sent you a Facebook message. Yeah, I can talk to you sometime. I'm actually getting ready to wrap this up because I have to leave and go to the store here in a minute, but I will be doing more live chats throughout the week. We could definitely set something up. We can definitely do that. And I heard Bob Holly's beef with Ken Anderson. I've heard a little bit about that. I mean, Ken Anderson doesn't have any real heat with Bob Holly, but Bob Holly has really made threats to just hurt him. And I think he said he'd do something to Ken Anderson's wife or something like that. That's where it crosses the line. Like Bob Holly really is to this day still an angry, bitter man over that whole thing with Ken Anderson. I don't support the threats that have been happening towards him either. Like I know he got threatened in the past by Bob Holly. We will do something too. Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you too. I hope you have a great Christmas. But the stories about Bob Holly being a bully, I mean, I don't know if all of it is really true, I think he was just really a no nonsense guy, so much to where people might have mistaken it as being bullied. I know he still gets crapped on for what he did to Matt Capitelli on Tough Enough. I know he's got heat with Rene Dupree. I know he had heat with just the Click. I mean, Bob Holly really came off as a no nonsense guy. Like, he just gets himself in trouble from time to time, and people cannot separate between him and the person, you know? Like, I really don't know how accurate all the stories are either, because a lot of the guys that really talk about Bob Holly, you look at their past history, and it makes me wonder if they're making this crap up and they're just, they're not telling the truth about like all of it, like, to a situation. So I don't know. Well, I mean, yes, I could see that a little bit, but again, like Bob Holly, he intends to come off as a bully, but he doesn't try to be. And I think people just sometimes can't differentiate between his on character, his on screen character, but who he is behind the scenes. And from what I've heard behind the scenes, he's a nice guy. He doesn't go getting into fights or nothing like that. Um, I've heard stories about Bill DeMont tormenting people. I mean, I'd have to look up more of the stories I've heard about him, but I mean, it's hard to say if he's a bigger bully than JBL. I don't know. I mean, I'll look up Bill DeMont's history when I'm done here with this chat. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I got to get going and got some stuff to do. I will do some more chats throughout the week and videos to come. Thank you guys for coming, and I'll talk to you guys later. And you guys have a great Christmas.